Welcome back. Now let's get the show on the road. Following the Southwest governors and Northern governors' introduction of their own security outfits, or should we say security arrangements, to deal with insurgency and other security matters, the governors of the South-South region also had their meeting and were making some proposals regarding having their own security arrangements. So security now seems to be a major issue all over the country. Now we have the regional vice president of ASIS. ASIS. You corrected us the other time.
ASIS.
ASIS or
ASIS,
ASIS
okay.
International.
Sorry?
ASIS International.
AS. Okay, we shall stick with ASIS.
International.
And ASIS stands for?
Okay, it started as an American Society for Industrial Security in the United States, but later it became global. Okay. So the name American became an issue, so we decided to use the acronym. So over the years, there have been meetings as to look for which name will actually suit it, but for now it is ASIS, it's not American
World or International Security, whatever.
Yeah, it's American Society for Industrial Security. That was how it started, but now ASIS International.
Okay, so we don't even try to decipher, we don't break it down anymore.
Okay.
That was Mr. Shea Adetayo, and he's the regional vice president.
West and Central Africa.
West and Central Africa. We also expect Ona Ekomo to join us. Does he need any introduction?
No.
I don't think so. Anytime we're talking security, you can be sure that Ona is in the mix somewhere. So, everyone is talking about regional, we're breaking everything. We seem to be breaking everything down to regional levels now. No longer Nigeria. Everything is happening from Abuja. What are your thoughts about breaking it down?
Well, I quite agree with the current moves, and it is what I've actually been talking about. So I've been joining, lending my voice to the proponents or proposition for state police and regional security structure. The truth is that we need to take security, to the level. So we've always been looking at security from the top. We should make it granular. They say what we call security is the aggregate of the safety and security of every Nigerian. When you bring it together, that is when you talk about national security. So if I'm not safe or secured in my own community, you are not secured in your own community, that is when we bring it together is when we say the country is not secured. So we need to actually start looking at it from the angle of what do we do to make you to be secured in your own community? It's not just about what's looking at it from the national perspective now. What do we do in your own community, right here inside Isheri here? What do we do to make you to be secured? It is the people of Isheri here that knows what should be done or can be done to make them to be secured. It's not for an IG in Abuja to define the security, composition or procedures to make the Sheri people to be secured. They need to define it here. And if each communities are defining theirs, and then all these things are being implemented, that is when we can have a situation where we can say we have a safe and secured country as it is. And we need to have, this departure from the way we have been looking at security all this while. And as long as you continue to take, directive from Abuja, by the time the directive will trickle down to the level of each community, it will have changed in terms of its value, in terms of its definition, the philosophy and everything. And that's why we're getting it wrong.
When, again, talking about breaking down security from the central to a universal, using a universal approach, which means breaking it down to every tiny bit. The question then some would ask is, how many people are aware of their role in the security situation of the country? Do the citizens even understand they have a role to play in securing themselves?
I think they do. If you look at the way it was before pre-Boko Haram, people don't really care. We were taking everything for granted until Boko Haram came. And the level of awareness became so, pronounced. and people, you start seeing people, becoming aware, especially when they see something that is quite out of place in their community. They raise issues. You see CDAs forming up, and they are becoming more powerful. You see PCRCs, making contribution, making their DPO forcing their DPO to do the right thing. That shows that the people wants to feel secure. Like in my own community, when I called recently, when there was the issue, I called and I was surprised with the turnout of people, for us to address the issue of the incessant robbery in my area. And just within 1 week, we were able to erect estate gates and structures. We put security guards there, costing us so much, hundreds of thousands as payment every. That shows that people want to sleep and sleep soundly. In fact, one of the landlords in my area said something that I was surprised. He said, thank you very much. Now I can sleep very well. I was like, so before now, you've not been able to sleep. So it means that you've been having this concern, right inside of you, as to somebody can just break into your room. So if Nigerians are going to bed every way with the fear that somebody will just, and let me just share what is happening in this community with you. You see, these young boys will come, blow some powders through the window into your room, and then you'll feel like everybody will just go straight into deep sleep. And they do either use a saw, there's a iron cutter, to cut your burglary and enter into the house, ransack, take everything they want. This is happening. And they are young boys between the age of 16 and 24.
Which area is this?
Yeah, I'm talking of Akute ASIS and Akute. This is Sherry ASIS, Akute to Lambert, all those ASIS. It's been pronounced, and we got to a point of recent that the community had to meet with the DPO, and the DPO has intensified effort towards addressing this. And it's not peculiar to that. It has happened also in Ikorodu, during the period of what they call that, people that used to break people's head with stone. They were also using that powder to make people to. So people need to be able to go to bed and believe that, yes, nobody's going to enter their room.
Okay, now we have this coronavirus with us, and whether we like it or not, it's going to affect the economy, big time. We're already seeing the effects. There's panic buying in some areas. Do you see this affecting our security situation? And by that I mean, you're complaining about boys, going to homes already and, being up to no good. Are we likely to have more people in that category because coronavirus has caused their companies to shut down? Unemployment will certainly get worse. So are we envisaging more people on the employment market?
Yeah. I think about last month or so, we invited the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, to one of our meetings, and it was represented by the Deputy Commissioner of Police Operation, DC Ops, A. Mohammed. And we looked at the ban on Okada. Now, it looks good in Lagos, but it's affecting the border communities in Ogun State. The upsurge in crimes and criminality around the border communities because of those who lost their jobs, those who are doing Okada and the rest that couldn't ply the highways, and there's nothing they could do. So we believe that they are the ones that, because that was when we started experiencing this upsurge in this crime. So there is a way when you try to take something away from one community, it doesn't disappear. It moves into another community.
Okay, now, please just hold your thought a moment. We'll go on a quick break. We'll come back to continue the conversation from that point. Just stay. Welcome back. We're still talking, rethinking the security strategy in the country, and we have Shey Adetaya here. Shey, Professor Akimboyewa said, before you pick up from where you left off, he said, we need evidence-based thinking on how Nigeria's security policy can be reshaped to tackle the threats to Nigerian security. Does that tie into what you were saying before we went on that break?
Yes. Of recent, the National Assembly started a public hearing on restructuring the Nigerian security. And most of the things that I had talked about was about building synergy. And I felt that these are still the same thing that we've been talking about all this way. That's not the problem. The problem should be we need to look at individual agencies. Let us redefine what their structure should be. Let us redefine what their roles should be. Let us redefine the philosophy. Let me give you an example. Civil defense. There's International Civil Defense Organization. There's a purpose for creating civil defense. And I had this interaction with Dr. Aboluri, even before he became the CG, then, and even after he became CG. And the vision was very clear. Over time, when they made civil defense to become arms-bearing agency, the focus, the philosophy changed. As in, their approach towards issue changed. Now, they are more like having this forceful posture towards the people, not the defenders, not civil protectors anymore, not civil defenders, but like an enforcer. Their role is not to have that posture of security enforcer. They need to work from the angle of a defender. And if you want to be a defender, you need to work with the people. Start from the people. They're supposed to be the closest agency to the people, not even the police. Now they've moved away from that. You see them moving around on the street with about 5 of them hanging on their heels with guns. And I said, you are communicating wrongly. How much of information are you getting from the people? I remember then that when Dr. Aboluni started, he started by writing intelligence reports to the DSS. So much of support and synergy, were observed between civil defense and the DSS then in terms of information sharing. Is it the same thing again? The answer is no. Now they've moved away from there. They are competing with the police. Police is seeing them as competitors.
That matter of competing between the agencies, some will say, well, some will put it this way, sharing of information. The matter of competing between the agencies is detrimental to effective security.
Exactly.
Okay, we've been joined by Dr. Onai Komu, who's a security expert. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
And welcome. Just before you came in, I asked a question based on a tweet by one of our viewers about the need for evidence-based approach towards rethinking the security situation in the country. He's talked about what an agency was supposed to be, or the idea behind an agency ending up in another way. He talks about civil defense as supposed to be like closer to the people, working from that end to share information with this or that. But now it looks as if there's a competition between them and the police, sort of. But be that as it may, put that on one side, and let's come to this other side of how are we even managing the situation? Consequence management system, is it there? Would it help if consequent management system is brought in to help all of this?
Thank you, Mr. Nyota. Well, I think I'm going to just kind of reframe it a bit before I come to consequence management, because consequences are the outcomes level. And we in security, we look at it, we say the impact of a loss event, an attack, kidnap, bombing, whatever, the impact, what is the cost of loss? Then further down, we look at the consequences, and in fact, the outcomes also. What are the fallouts? So that's on that level. I'll come back to that. But I think I want to look more, and why that is important is my approach to the security architecture design. Our system tends to be threat-based in its focus, in its philosophy of managing the security of the country, and rather than risk-based, whereas you have tools, risk mapping tools out there to map various risks as they begin to manifest, even before they manifest, such that you now look at the impact of loss, because risk is asset times threat times vulnerability. Okay, that means the impact, what you've said, that I'm looking at the asset, that's the consequence of loss or destruction of that asset. The threat, what's the negative thing that's going to occur? Bombing, kidnapping, shooting, whatever it is, that all the bad things that happen in society. And then the vulnerability, what are the loopholes? What are the weaknesses in the system? So he's talking, Sheyi is talking about the police agency, the civil defense, lack of intelligence. Those are all vulnerabilities. Those are called structural vulnerabilities. They exist in the system because of inadequacies in setting it up, in operating it, and so on and so forth. So, so that is where the consequence. So I'm just taking you back again to your consequence management, consequence analysis. You know, when that loss event occurs, when that security breach occurs, somebody is killed, people are killed. Boko Haram sets off a bomb. Boko Haram attacks Damboa, kills those people at that checkpoint. You know, you now say, oh, geez, this is a serious matter. People are dying. The economy of the Northeast is being destroyed. And ASIS all around the country, everywhere else that you have, even you have the herdsmen attacks and stuff, they are destroying the economy everywhere. So you now say, what is it that we need to do? So you see, we wait until the threat is knocking at our door, and then we now bring out the soldiers, we bring out the police, we bring out the civil defense and everything, rather than look at ways of mitigating this way before they become threats and they impact us directly. So consequence analysis. Well, I mean, certainly, if you sow the whirlwind, you reap the. If you sow the wind, you reap a whirlwind. So if you sow insecurity or incompetence, you are going to get a lot of problems downstream, and that's what is happening now. Now you have lives destroyed. You have IDPs. You have you have what we used to call Sambisa pregnancies, and those ones even who were Sambisa pregnant are becoming big boys now. You have out of school children and things like that. So these are the consequences of not really sitting back as a society and looking at what is the structure of security, or what is the structure of life? What are the things that are going to affect the lives of our people? And how do we address them such that they don't become a loss event and now we'll start doing consequence management like Mr. Neil Taigbe wants us to do?
Talking about, still staying with consequences.
Yes, ma'am.
The Senate has proposed a bill to rehabilitate and, what was the word? De-radicalize and integrate repentant BH members.
Very.
What are your thoughts about that? These are people who have killed people. So you're saying that you can kill and get away with it in Nigeria? We will rehabilitate you and de-radicalize you and reintegrate you into society.
Well, I have a lot of problems with that bill, the Senate bill, and also with a program that is ongoing right now, a military program called Operation Safe Corridor. OPSC for short. And what, back in, is it 2015 or so, they came up with this policy that, okay, when we catch some BH guys, and if they are the fringes, we'll just bring some imams, talk to them, and de-radicalize them, and then turn them back into society. And back then, when it started happening, I now sent, what do you call it? I issued a release, as a matter of fact. I said, what is the test of de-radicalization? How do you know someone that's been de-radicalized and not de-radicalized? And so I got some pushback from military intelligence people. They were like, doctor, you know, this is, we have checked them, we have done this, because they are asking litmus test questions I asked. And they weren't addressed. Well, the program has been in place. They've released thousands of former BH fighters now. And I am worried that we are, like I've described it famously, we are recycling fighters back into the theater of war. You know, instead of taking them out, the thing is we're supposed to take fighters out, but here we are recycling them, and we say, okay, go back and sin no more. It doesn't work like that. I believe that we need to keep those guys for a period of time. I mean, certainly I don't think we should, the military should go out. They are not killers. They are warriors. They are trying to safeguard the nation. So nobody says they should kill, or except perhaps in a projectile encounter. You know, those things do happen. But then if you do capture them, you should keep them in custody. The radicalization program should go through a certain protocol, and it's time-based. You must look at a minimum 5-year program, and before you can get to the end point where you now say, oh yes, this guy has been de-radicalized. If not, we'll be doing Nelta's consequence analysis again. And that's where we are now.
Actually, Amotekun, that was in the news this week because they're now coming out and they're gradually letting us know how it's going to work out. The bills have become laws in the various states. So we're now being told gradually how it's going to work. What are your thoughts about what we've been told so far?
Well, I know that it will take a while before we get pretty good idea of what government is trying to do. I mean, the state government, yes, and I know that it will take a while also for it to be able to start achieving positive results. So it is an idea that we must give time. We must be patient with them for it to be, because we're starting something very new in a society that our thinking has been in one direction before. Now we're seeing some kind of pushback from the Nigerian police with their community policing agenda. To many people, it's like they're trying to me, everything that is contained in the community policing is what they've always been doing. So it doesn't make any difference, except the fact that they say they are going to have committees in each community to do this. To me, that is the function of every traditional institutions why not strengthen them? Why not make use of those traditional institutions already have been addressing issues in various communities? But by and large, I believe that it's going to be successful if the people gives it the much desired support.
Well, if we have this Amotekun on this side, at one time from the north, something was supposed to come out from the north, even though the northern leaders came up saying, no, we don't have any business with that. The South is talking about their own regional outfit. The South is also talking about it. Is that what is needed to shake up the security architecture?
I have long for so very many years, 10, 15 years, called for that.
For regional security outfit?
Well, not really
police?
regional. No. Of course, I'm a staunch opponent of state policing. I'm sure you and I have discussed that many times here. The regional initiative, because it is citizen-based. Now, let us take, we have antecedents to the first, it goes all the way back to 1066, the Frank Pledge system with the Norman conquest of England. And William of Normandy set up the laws of the manor and the vassals, and they had the tithes and the Frank Pledge system. And that's where this citizen policing started, more or less. Now, 1285, you had Statute of Winchester, where the Parliament said, okay, every young man aged 12 and above can own a gun and has a right to defend his property or his community. Okay, so that was an upgrade. Then in 1829, Robert Peel came in with his Metropolitan Police Act, which is the model of policing we follow today, and in a wrong way, if I may add. But let's go to the Houston school that came up with community policing, which my brother here just spoke about a minute ago. That Houston school had in it built in these committees, these citizen committees that they talked about, because that's the basis of it. That's community policing, classic community policing. It was Tafa, the former IG, that came up with that thing here. He said that he will set up community policing and all that. So I said, well, I think we don't understand what community policing is, because community policing is about the police now engaging with citizens to figure out what their real needs are and solve them even before they become loss events, before they become crimes. So if you see youth gathering an area, the way we have Okada people gathering all over, you address that issue before you start having break-ins and robberies and rapes and things like that in the area. Do you understand? That is the basis. And what happens is there is a community policing officer that is assigned to every neighborhood, and he goes in and meets with these people. These are the the committees. He meets with these people, and they define the committees' priorities, what it is that is important to them. So the citizens now become the intelligence gathering people. They tell them, okay, these are the bad boys on that street. Those down there, I'm not going to go there because they might attack me. You go and figure it out. You know, so that's community policing. Classic community policing is structured. But what it does, the reason for that was that we said headquarters was always too far away from the communities that they are serving. So you do community policing, that you bring the policeman, you attach somebody, a community policeman, it's called COP, community police officer, to work with that individual,
but
the citizens.
In our situation right now, we do have the police relations
PCRC. That's a citizen, another citizen based. Yes, it's a good one, but we never. People just use it to get this thing so that when police stop them, they say I'll be PCRC member. We've not been able to harness it, to milk it, to start getting intelligence, and the people are not really. It's not structured because who is working with us? I belong to PCRC in my area. I've never seen a policeman come and join us there. So there should be somebody that's assigned from the division, local police station, that you are working with the people in this estate and find out their needs, and they will come from time to time, knock on your door and ask. That is community policing. Okay. Sorry, sir.
Dr. Ona said. You see, the problem with the PCRC is this: the composition does not actually reflect the entire structure of each society. You only see those who are available. It shouldn't be about those who are available to be attending meetings. It should be about each community should be broken into probably quadrants, and say each component of that the entire must be represented. Yes. And it shouldn't just be anyhow person. It should be in such a way that they should trust the police enough to say, I'm going to commit this particular time of mine into this. I've seen so much that have been done by PCRC. A friend of mine is the one has been in charge for that of Ikoyi for a long time, and they have that synergy. They report a lot. They bring a lot of issues. Well, the reason why we've not gotten that much is same is not reflecting. Maybe Ikoyi is working because the people there can always take the DPO, up easily because they are big people.
Okay, we've got to wind down now. So in closing, I would like to ask each of you how. And I want you to answer this in like 30 seconds only. That's all the time we have. How do you think we can rejig our security architecture to make it more effective?
Like I said before.
Just enumerate.
Okay. Number one, look at the structure correctly. Redefine the policy, the philosophy, and the structure, and the reporting line of all the agencies. Let there be a strong coordination. And largely, you spoke about consequent management. People should answer for things they have done. If people should kill, they should be made to face the music. When you let them go, then other people will be emboldened to do more crime.
Dr. Ekomo.
So I didn't finish my talk on Amotekun. But I'll use that. I'll end on that. He has said everything.
In 1 minute.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, so what is going on here is we need a citizen-based effort. This has precedent in history. The Patriots in Algeria, they fought that 10-year dirty war. And what was it? It was against jihadists who were trying to overrun the government. And what they did was use common, ordinary citizens, arm them with Ibo, that is Dengon, and tell them to go and face the thing. So the public police, the military, came in as a backup to them, and that is the design, that's the beauty of Amotekun.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ona Ekomo, security expert, and we also have Seyi Adetayo, Regional Vice President, Western Central Africa for ASIS International. Thank you all very much for coming to look at this very crucial matter with us this morning. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Make sure you join us.